to a brand new episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I sit and chat with small business owners and early career professionals. We discuss their journeys, perspectives, ideas, their stories, their passions, and it's always a fun time. Now, with me today is Alex, one of the owners of PupRing. They sell rings that you can engrave your dog or cat's name onto so that you can always have your pet with you. Their rings are simplistic and beautiful, and I absolutely love this idea for a product. I just love that it's pet related but isn't in your face obnoxious. I just think it's super beautiful and very, very elegant. Now, before we hear from Alex and his story behind PupRing, I'd really appreciate if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcasts app. We really appreciate your support, and you can also follow us on basically any social media. It's all at Virtual Coffee Podcast. As always, thank you so much for your support. Happy listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and let me know what you think in the review section of Apple Podcasts or in the comments of my Instagram or Facebook post. Thank you so much. Happy listening. And now let's hear from Alex. Welcome, Alex. Thank you so much for being on Virtual Coffee today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it. So kick us off by telling us a bit about PupRing. I love this concept of a business, but loop our audience into what your business is.
Sure. So PupRing is, I guess, the way that we like to explain it. It's a jewelry company for pet owners. So if you're a pet owner, you know how much we as pet owners love our pets, love our dogs, love our cats. And we simply make jewelry that complements their image, complements their, I guess, whatever, we can engrave their names into different products. And it really just creates a memory, and it allows you to kind of carry them anywhere you go. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the 10-second overview of what we do and what we create.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I discovered you guys on TikTok, I'm pretty sure. And I just love at least the products I've seen are like obviously the rings, that are like simple in the name and the bone shape. I just absolutely love your products. And yeah, do you want to give our audience, more examples of the products you sell? Like, do you have different shapes? Is it just that bone, like that simple feeling? Just dive into that a little bit.
Sure. So currently we have two main products that we are selling. We've been selling one product for the longest time. It's a small bone-shaped ring that we engrave pet owners' pets' names on them. And it was specifically made for dogs. Bones and dogs kind of go hand in hand. So that's kind of what started PupRing, what really got us going. And probably the product that you, Alexa, saw on our TikTok. And we just actually recently, I would say maybe 2 weeks ago, released cat rings. And
nice.
These obviously are for all the cat lovers out there, and they fulfill the exact same purpose, engraving their cat's names into a ring that you can wear on a day-to-day basis.
Excellent. Those are adorable. Is the cat ring a bone shape, or is that a different shape?
So the cat rings are shaped with little cat ears. So it's like a small surface, looks like a cat face, and then there's little cat ears. But we do have plans for creating, I guess, a ring that's in a shape of a fish, since also fish are kind of go hand in hand with cats, just as bones go hand in hand with dogs.
That's amazing. I love that. I love it so much. So where did the idea come from to create PupRing? Like, have you always been into jewelry making? Was it from some other passion? Like, how did this idea come to be?
Yeah, so this idea was actually originally created by my business partner, Parth, who founded PupRing last year in March. And what really kicked it off, I have no idea. He doesn't even have a dog. So I don't know what got into him, but at one point or another, this is right around the time when I lost my dog, my first dog, Tippy, that I had for, I think it was 12 years back then. And I saw him create this business, and I really fell in love with the idea, the concept that we can create something and give it to pet owners that can now remember their dogs by, take them with them even when, they pass. And it's not always super sad. We have a bunch of customers who get it for their dogs who are still alive and well. But this kind of really resonated with me specifically, and we ended up partnering on this project together. That's kind of how everything started. But yeah, a little Easter egg is if you do go on our website, PupRing.com, and look at all of the products, they actually have Tippy on them. So it's kind of a little Easter egg for my little guy who passed. But yeah, that's where, the passion, at least for me, comes from, and where the idea originally resonated from.
That's very, very sweet. It's so nice to hear you do have that personal connection to the business, and I'm sure so many people can relate to that. That's just wonderful to hear. Do you know anything about jewelry making? Like, is that, I guess a better question is, what skill sets do you and your business partner bring to the business, right? Are you like the business guy and he's the jewelry maker? Are you both the business people and you hire out for the jewelry making? Like, what's kind of the behind the scenes of how
Yeah,
everything gets created?
sure. So I have a background in marketing. I have been into e-commerce since about 2018. So I do kind of have, I guess what I bring to the table, if you will, is the marketing aspect of things and the knowledge, the two-ish years, three-ish years of knowledge in the e-commerce space. And my partner, he is definitely more the web guy. So
Okay.
he has experience in web design, and the beautiful site that we have now. That credit goes to him for that. And funny enough, neither of us have had any previous jewelry experience to starting this. So it was really a learning experience for both of us. And from the start, we had to figure everything out. Luckily now we do have a wonderful team, and we do have a full-time person down in Ohio who does the engravings on all of the pup rings.
Okay.
So, me and my partner don't necessarily have to be in the trenches anymore.
Sure.
But definitely at one point or another, we're in the trenches figuring things out, and engraving, and learning the whole jewelry process. And, it definitely is a process, and there is a lot that is learned and needs to be learned and needs to be figured out to come up with, from a piece of sterling silver, turning it into a pup ring.
Yeah, I think that's a interesting perspective you have, because I think the majority of business owners who I have on my podcast are the ones who are making the product, right? Because they have a love for creating clay earrings,
Mm,
or they are an artist and sell their paintings, right? Like they're the crafter. So what
hmm
advice do you have for folks who have an idea but maybe that's not the actual crafting of the product isn't their expertise? Maybe,
mm.
to your point, they come from marketing or business background, whatever it is. What's your advice there for those first like few months of just having to figure it out? Were
Mm.
there any specific steps you guys did that were helpful, or resources you had in the beginning?
Sure, yeah. So I would say the biggest resource is your effort and ability to do trial and error. From the get-go, we originally hired out a company to do the engravings for us, but it was just way too expensive. And then we were like, okay, we just need to do this ourselves. So we ended up going and finding an engraving machine, a laser engraving machine, purchasing it, waiting for that to arrive. And from that point on, it was just, hey, let's click this button, and let's not burn our fingers off,
Yeah.
but let's figure out how to do it. So I would say for anybody who's really, who has experience in a different field, whether that be marketing or product development or just business in general, and is not the hands-on type of person, I would say it's generally just important to know every process of your company. So even, I'm not the most hands-on guy. In the TikToks, you'll see me doing the rings. I do go down to Ohio all the time and do the rings myself. And I was never the hands-on type of guy, but I had to go and learn it myself. And that's just so you can now be able to do quality control.
Yeah.
And, when you have now a hire doing automating your business, your process, your fulfillment, you can now say, hey, this is how I want it. This is, I want it to look like this. I want you to do it like this. Because otherwise, if somebody else is doing it and you have absolutely no idea what they're doing, it's completely up to them on how the
Yeah.
quality is going to turn out and if you like it, if you don't like it. So it's very important, in my opinion, for anybody in any business to definitely play around in every aspect. Do the customer support yourself. At the beginning, I was doing the customer support. We were, my partner is still doing the website design.
Mhm.
Even if we hire that at one point, he'll still have those resources and that knowledge.
Yeah, I think that is amazing advice from one, you don't have to have the maybe skill set initially if you have an idea, right? If you have an awesome idea and are passionate about it, don't let the fact that you might not have the hands-on experience deter you away from it. That I think
Exactly.
that's an amazing perspective right there. And then also once you kick off the business and the idea, to your point, having experience in every part of the process. I think that is so important. I love
Mhm.
that you brought that up. And even if it's observing your customer service person or observing the person who etches the jewelry and just like totally understanding the process to your
Mhm.
point, so you can oversee it and provide feedback or even just talk about it and understand the process from A to Z. I think that's great advice.
Exactly.
Excellent. Did you have any experience running a business prior to PupRing?
Yes. So, as I mentioned before, I did have, since about 2018, experience in the e-commerce space. And ever since I was quite little, I loved the idea of creating a business, making money
Mm.
online, figuring things out myself. So, this is a passion of mine. So, if I go on a rant here, stop me. But ever since I was like, I would say 12, 13 years old, that's when I got my first computer. I learned to program. So I just started playing around, learned to program. My first language was Visual Basic. And I started to just tinker with things, play around with things. And the first money I ever made online, I guess if you want to call it a business, was creating different programs and selling them on forums.
Wow.
So that's kind of what kickstarted my entrepreneur journey, if you want to call it. And kind of from there, I ended up playing around with growing Instagram accounts, selling those. At one point, I
Wow.
went into the sneaker business. So as you're aware or might be aware of, there are like limited edition sneaker drops. So I
Mhm.
would go buy those and then flip those. And then kind of after that venture, I went on to creating tools for people who are flipping sneakers to utilize. So then kind of my past self, I was like, what can I do to create a more efficient system to buy these sneakers? So I
Mhm.
went on to creating bots for buying sneakers. And then kind of after that, I ended up going into blogging, created some blogs, sold some blogs, and that kind of finally ended me into the e-commerce space, where I had a few different companies there, and finally landed with PupRing, which is by far my favorite project yet.
How interesting. What a journey. I love the like I didn't even think that you could, create Instagram accounts and sell them and blogs. Like that is so neat. I'm assuming like all of that you just kind of seems you stumbled into and made it your own, right? Or did you have someone guiding you or someone you always went to advice for? Or was it really a self-led journey?
It was definitely self-led and internet-led, I would say. A lot of the stuff that I did, I started off on different forums, and then, I would hear what other people are doing, how are they. I sold on eBay, all this different stuff you hear about, and then I was like, okay, let me try it.
Yeah.
Do this. All right, let me try it. So I kind of just went one thing after another thing. And I would say a lot of those projects would have been much more successful than what they were, if I just would have 100% focused on them. But this is kind of while I was still, in the younger years of my life. And
Yeah.
you definitely, at least before you start to mature, you have the issue of switching between a bunch of stuff and trying to juggle a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that actually led PupRing to where it is today is the fact that I focused fully on it. And that's something that all these previous things didn't really, if I'm putting 25% of my effort into four different projects, it's only gonna get 25 versus if I put 100%
Hmm.
of my effort into one project, it can go four times further than each of those four projects could. So that's one of the biggest things I think I've learned in business is focus on one thing. And by focusing on one thing, you're going to multiply it so much further than if you only focused on, or if you focused on like 10 different things.
I think that's amazing self-reflection and great advice too. And I almost wonder, if you, to your point, if you're focusing on one thing, I bet I would hypothesize that you would find out sooner whether or not that is your true passion or something
Mm,
you really want to pursue
mm,
versus, oh, trying a bunch of different things, maybe two, three, five things at a time, and maybe something's just running on the side and you don't take a moment to pause to realize, oh, maybe that is something I really want to pursue or don't want to pursue. I don't know.
yeah.
That's interesting. I really like that though. And I love seems you have such a growth mindset of just always exploring and trying new things and yeah, making everything successful that you do right to the best of your ability. It's cool to see how you did hop around different things until you found what you really wanted to focus on because I think that's important as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of PupRing, what is the future of PupRing to you? Do you want to just continue to focus on it until, it goes wherever it goes, or do you have other business ideas that you want to jump into? Just kind of what's your future mindset here?
Sure. So I would say, as of right now, I want to really see if we can take puppering across different animal avenues. Right
Hmm.
now, we are focusing on dogs and cats, as most people either have a dog or a cat.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have requests for like hamsters and
Aw.
horses and all these different other animals and pets that people
Yeah.
have and want to take with them, create memories with to hold on forever. So I would say really what I am pushing and we're pushing as a company right now is to take it across those avenues, get multiple products serving pets across the board, and really kind of develop ourselves as kind of the go-to for a place to buy a piece of jewelry for your horse that's going to have their name on it, or
Right.
a necklace that's going to have a name on it, or a paw print on it. These type of pieces that you can take and it might not mean something to the person you're passing by the street, but it means something to you. And
Yeah.
that's what matters. So I would say in the kind of immediate future, in the next year, 2 years, that's really what we're going to be focusing on and pushing. Yeah.
I love venturing out into other animals. I love that idea. Even like, I don't know, like a parrot popped into my mind. Like what would a ring
Hmm.
for a parrot look like, right?
Right,
That's
right.
cool. Yeah, a lot of different design opportunities there. I'm interested in knowing what the success has been like so far with Pup Ring, specifically just what avenue you've found to be most successful or most helpful in getting your product out there. Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? I'm always interested in that because I find the social media aspect of a business or even with, virtual coffee, the podcast is so hard. It's so hard to create
Hmm.
content and be consistent. And so kind of I guess my question more revolves around what has been the most successful for you all in terms of that social media aspect.
Mm. Sure. So as far as social media aspect goes, it's definitely been TikTok. We started our TikTok I would even say back in November of last year, but really
Mhm.
haven't posted on it until beginning of 2021.
Okay.
And we ended up, simply put, getting quite lucky with our fourth post going like pretty mega viral.
Yeah.
Ended up getting over a million views, and that honestly gave us kind of the boost we needed as a company. Prior to that, we were running strictly Facebook ads, paid media, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some Pinterest, some Instagram. But TikTok, honestly, in my opinion, is kind of the blessing of this age that we're in right now. And if you can utilize it right, you can definitely move somewhere with your business. it's one of those things that you need to, you can't expect to go viral. You can't
Right.
expect to, blow your business up with TikTok. But if you do, it can definitely change lives. It can definitely change the direction of your business. And that's kind of what it did for us.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, what social media was most successful to you on.
Okay.
It seems that's what I really was wondering
Yeah.
if TikTok helped a lot, and it seems like it did because TikTok, man, I mean, anyone has a chance to go viral, and I think that is what is so great about that platform, right? You don't have the
Mhm.
Instagram algorithm that I will never understand or the Facebook paid ads. And it's just awesome to hear that, your fourth video or whatever it was just went viral and changed the course. It's just cool. It's just really cool to see
Yeah.
that happen to businesses.
Yeah, what I think is also really, really cool about TikTok is the community there is full of people who care. It's not just people who are there for the content, it's people who care about small businesses, people who care about other people in general. So, and I haven't seen this with any other platform. Sure, you can build a community on Instagram and on Facebook and whatnot, but definitely I haven't seen a community as tight knit
Hmm.
as a community on TikTok. And the people, just the sheer support that we've gotten from TikTok
Right.
has been astronomical. People are like, "Oh my God, I love this idea." And now they go and they share it with like 10 of their friends and we're like, oh my God, well, thank you. That's amazing. So just that community, the people who are on that platform, I think are great people and they care and they support. And at the end of the day, we wouldn't be where we are without them. So yeah, our thanks goes to the communities on TikTok and the people of this world who love pets.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like TikTok too, whenever I see the comments of, "Oh, just purchase this product," or "Love this idea," I feel like those people actually follow through. Like, because
Yeah,
then the next video on the business's page will be like, "Oh, we just sold out. We're out of stock." I'm like,
that
"Wow,
is
those
it.
people
Yep.
those people weren't lying."
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you do your social media content, or do you have someone on your team who does that? And I'm asking because, like I said, I find the content creation way harder than it seems, right? From when you're just scrolling on these platforms. Like, to create a TikTok, even just one shot with audio or captions, it takes time. It's not as
Yeah,
easy as one might think. So who are the
definitely.
masterminds behind your content?
Yeah, so I am still the one in the trenches for that.
Nice.
Yeah, I do all of the TikTok content. It's recorded on my iPhone and edited on the TikTok app.
Yep.
There's people are like, well, you can, edit it in Premiere Pro or different softwares. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna just do it on the
Yeah.
TikTok app. So yeah, as far as other content creation, I do take care of that as well. So anything
Nice.
on our Instagram, I put that together. I take the photography for that, and then obviously also on the website, the photos you see, those are also taken in my homemade lightbox studio, which consists of like a couple pieces of paper and a light.
Nice.
But yeah, so it's definitely I love content. I'm a very creative person,
Yeah.
so I absolutely love doing the content creation side of things. And at the end of the day, it might be business smart to outsource one day,
Mm.
but for now, I definitely enjoy it, and I think I'll continue to do it.
That's great to hear you have a passion for it and enjoy doing it because yeah, like we've been saying, it takes a bit of time.
Oh
Takes a
yeah.
lot of passion to create those things. Is PupRing your full-time job right now? Are you doing other things on the side or perhaps have another full-time job or were you able to take PupRing full-time?
Yeah, so I have been lucky enough that I am full time in PupRing right now.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been since, let's see, it's been a couple months, but I
Nice.
would say ever since February of this year, kind of when we ended up going viral on TikTok, I was like, hey, I'll put aside anything else I was planning on doing, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
go into this full time, give it my 100%, and see where we can take it. And I think we've all been blessed to have an amazing team and the success we've had so far. So it's been a blessing.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that. It's
Thank
just
you so much.
huge being able to focus on something 100%. That's amazing. Was that decision scary, hard, easy? What was that like?
Scary.
Yeah.
It was scary. Yeah. And I've always wanted to go full time into one of my projects, but it was always kind of the sustainability of it. And like I mentioned before, all of my previous projects were, putting 25% of my effort into them.
Right.
And then, they're not moving, they're not consistent. You have a little bit of success here and there, but I think simply put, the entrepreneur journey is a lot of ups and downs, and it's the best thing and the worst thing at the same time, but I would never give it up for anything else.
Yeah.
It's one of those love-hate relationships that sometimes you need to be up until 4 in the morning, but at the same time you would rather not be doing anything else.
And with that, entrepreneur journey, do you have any other pieces of advice for small business owners, people pursuing ideas, just any, one, two, however many pieces of advice that come top of
Mm.
mind for folks similar to yourself?
Sure. I would say the biggest piece of advice is to invest in yourself. This is something that I've been struggling with my whole life. And I was always the type of person who's like, oh, I get into a certain business model. I'm like, oh, I know how to do it. I can do it. I got this easy. I'll
Right.
figure it out. But the moment I started to really look at myself and say, I really don't know anything, is the moment when I learned the most, or the moments I've learned the most. So, as far as advice for anybody goes, just focus on being open-minded and learning as much as you can. I have been lucky to have some amazing coaches and mentors in my life that have taught me more than I would have ever figured out on my own. So while learning on your own is amazing, definitely learn on your own, but also look at people who have done bigger and better things and follow in their footsteps because they've obviously done something right.
Yeah, that is a great piece of advice. I think the key thing I'm hearing there is almost don't be afraid to admit what you don't know, right? Like it's
Hmm.
okay to not know things and
Precisely.
yeah, finally admitting that might help you learn and grow. So yeah, I think that's great.
That's it. Yep.
Awesome. One logistical question I want to make sure I asked, where does PupRing ship? Is it international, just the United States?
Yeah, so we ship internationally.
Great. Awesome.
We have, I guess, as far as, a lot of people ask, is it free international? No, sadly, international is not free. Domestic shipping is free. So
Okay.
if you are in the US, we do ship free in the US, but we do ship to the majority of international countries. Obviously, there are a few that I cannot list off the top of my head that we are unable to ship to, just logistical reasons and those
Sure.
countries. But yeah, as far as majority of countries in Europe and North America, we do ship.
Awesome. That's another huge success too. Did it take a while to get that international shipping or was that pretty easy to obtain?
It was definitely after domestic. And as far as like kind of how difficult it was, we just needed to figure out how to do it and how
Sure.
much it's going to cost.
Mhm.
But we work with USPS and they, obviously offer international options. So we
Yeah.
just had to do some talking with them, figure out exactly the logistics of that. And kind of once those were all figured out, we were like, all right, let's do it. Let's pull the trigger. And we started selling international.
Awesome. Another huge accomplishment there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Alex, my last big question for you that I end every episode with is in this moment, what is your proudest accomplishment? And of course, it could be PupRing, could be something else entirely, just kind of that first thing that comes into your head when I ask you what your proudest accomplishment is.
Sure. Yeah. And I would say this kind of correlates right back to realizing that I know nothing
Mm.
and that constant search of information. And I don't know if that's necessarily considered an accomplishment, but I can confidently say that the moment I started looking the opposite direction as far as taking my mind off, hey, I know what I'm doing, to I think I know what I'm doing, but let me look at other places, let me learn more, let me look and learn from people who have been in my shoes, that's when things started to take off. That's when I was able to, look at the company as a whole and say, okay, this is simply what we're doing wrong.
Mm.
And this is what we need to focus on here. And it's just the acceptance. Like it's the acceptance of, hey, I need to stop what I'm doing and I need to go learn. I need to be humble enough to do that myself. And I think that's kind of once I started doing that, that's when I saw things start to change.
Yeah, I definitely think that's an accomplishment and probably the highest form of self-awareness, and I think it takes people a long time to get there. So
Mm,
I think that's great that you have gotten there and have seen the benefits of that mindset.
thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for chatting with me today. And before we close out here, where can people find you and PupRing, social medias, website? Shout them all out.
Yeah, so you can find us at pupring.com. That's our website. And as far as any social medias go, on TikTok we are at puprings. It's pupring with an S at the end. Somebody sadly took pupring.
Oh.
And on Instagram we do have pupring, so it's at pupring. And then for my personal social media, it's at real Alex DJ. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Alex. And I hope everyone checks out Alex and PupRing and their awesome, beautiful products. And thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you very much as well. It was an absolute pleasure.